Hello, everybody. Welcome back to today's episode of the podcast, where we sit down with some of the sharpest minds in the management consulting industry. This episode is powered by Clubhouse AI. At Clubhouse AI, we help management consulting firms break free from outdated lead gen methods like networking events and referrals, which often feel more like wishful thinking than a real strategy. Our battle tested data-driven client acquisition system brings in your ideal clients with no chasing, no guesswork, just predictable compounding growth. If you're in management consulting and you're looking to scale your business and see results within the first week, DM us the word growth for a free consultation. Now, without further ado, let's jump right into it. Today, we have a very special guest who is Tim Hayden, CEO of BrainTrust Partners. Thank you so much for being here today. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us a little about your story and what you do?
Well, thanks, Ethan. Yeah, Tim Hayden. I'm the founder and the CEO of BrainTrust Partners, uh, and a 20-ish year veteran of everything that has to do with marketing, with customer experience, public relations, communications, data, and technology. At BrainTrust, we are out on a mission to show companies why their data and their AI is the ticket to their future. And that's what we do. We're a team of data engineers, software developers, and data scientists, and we implement systems that allow them to control all that first party data in a way they never had before, to reduce their cost of doing business, but to grow revenue, and then to go about leveraging open source and open weight models with companies like Databricks or Snowflake, or even things that you can get from cloud services to control your GPU, to control your AI, and do what you got to do for your business to continue to persevere.
That's amazing. Sounds like someone with lots of expertise and knowledge here in this space. What got you into being an entrepreneur and a business owner? What made you start your company?
You know, um, it's one of those things that just as I prescribed of what we purvey right now at Brain Trust is I've always believed in as much as possible controlling my future more than it controls me. And I grew up very blessed with a father who had quite a career in technology and software, with a mom who was a school teacher and a nonprofit leader, and later on an elected official, entrepreneurs, both of them. So I got to see some of the businesses they started and the way their lifestyle changed as entrepreneurs. And meanwhile, I got to see what their lifestyle was like when they were always beholden to a system that they couldn't control. So, for most of my life, I've aspired to start businesses, but always to try to find a niche or an opportunity to show up different, or what the market demands are telling us right now that nobody else is serving. So I guess all of that really, prescribes entrepreneurship and being able to build something with control and showing up different and relevant.
Awesome. Yeah, I like that you said that you saw that what their life looked like when they were controlled by the system and they had those employers, and now they were freed by entrepreneurship and started their own businesses. That's amazing. It's definitely inspirational for a lot of people as well. Now, being the CEO and founder of Brain Trust Partners, can you share a little bit more about your role, how it fits into the bigger picture of the company?
Sure. I mean, for one, if what I originally shared or initially shared with you today is any form of a mission statement, I'm here to make sure we adhere to that in terms of our partnerships, in terms of our alliances, in terms of actually the clients that we choose to work with. We want to have that liberty as well, not just anybody and everybody can work with us. So there's that, and in that same, I would say that same phylum, I lead all of our business development, all of our strategic relationships, sales. I mean, it's what I do, is
Right.
always cultivating relationships, because what we do is enterprise, because it is big ticket items in terms of the technology required to build AI infrastructure, to build these things. Um, it's not something that we're going out and trying to meet with 30 people every day. We're really trying to meet with 30 people every month. And out of those 30, maybe two to five are asking for a second meeting a couple weeks later, and maybe one or two are asking for a proposal. So each year, we're really happy if we've got anywhere from 15 to 30 clients that we're able to serve in a year.
Awesome. Yeah, I like that focused and targeted approach rather than just shooting for anybody and hoping you get some in return. I like that you're being more niche. I like that a lot. And what does a typical day look like for you in the workplace?
Well, my office is about 2 blocks from my house. I wake up in the morning. I have breakfast with the family. I have a son who's an only child, and my wife, and our dog, and um, that's the symphony in the morning. Everybody gets cleaned up, shaves, showers, has breakfast. We see each other off, and sometimes my wife will walk the dog around the block about that time. I'll walk with her. She'll peel off one way, and I'll walk the rest of the way to the office. Get to the office, and every day I've got my calendar, which is set to either save time for me to focus on something specific, whether it's building a proposal or a statement of work, or maybe I've got 15 people I need to follow up with, right, with a combination of email or phone calls. Um, we do a whole lot of that, right? I mean, while everybody zigs to digital, it's amazing what things like handwritten notes and phone calls will do to get through to people that you want to do business with or that you want to establish a relationship with. Um, from that point on, my calendar, if I'm not traveling, is going to be a whole lot of the same. Working with the team on existing clients, being able to translate some of the things that our engineers have run into, both that which is something they conquered or they were solved for, or something that maybe causes a delay. Because again, as Bill Gates always said, the software doesn't install itself. So as we're
Right.
doing this work, sometimes I'm there on the relationship side, again, more consultative than I am technological, but doing everything I can to shore up the customer relationship, the client relationship, so we understand each other in terms of where we sit right now and where we're going to go next. When I am traveling, I'm in lots of boardrooms. I'm doing a little bit of entertainment. Taking people to lunch, taking people to dinner, having a cup of coffee, whatever it is. Again, face to face is what's going to make the difference, both in the relationship and converting that into a business relationship. And then this time of year in the fall, I'm doing a lot of speaking. So I find myself on stages, on panels, giving keynotes, and explaining and educating people on what's going on with artificial intelligence, what's going on with data management, what's going on with compliance, automation, all these things that are happening all at once, really helping them make sense of it and understand what they got to do when they go back to the office.
Awesome. Busy man there. I'm sure it can be a lot to balance in a day to day, but it sounds like you enjoy it. It's your passion, so it's amazing. And I love that you have time for family in there as well. I look up to that. It's amazing. And you spoke about AI and how you're helping these businesses create infrastructures and leverage it. How has that impacted your business and your own growth strategy?
Well, I think as time's gone along, we've been around the world of customer data platforms and data warehouses for several years now, even through the pandemic. And I think it was during the pandemic and right after that that we started to see AI really burst onto the scene. And I think, it was really understanding what's the security of these systems that people use through their browsers, or are they secure? Can you still meet the demands and the rigors of state data privacy laws or intercontinental data privacy regulations and rules? Can you do that when it comes to AI? And I think because if it doesn't matter who you talk to right now, there are a lot of people who are still wondering, still trying to qualify answers to those questions. And there are just as many people now, especially this week, right after OpenAI launched the Atlas browser.
Hmm.
Um, it really showed some cards there, right? I mean, they not only was it breached within 24 hours, somebody broke in and started getting data outside of OpenAI from Atlas use, but it was a number of folks that we work with and that we have alliances with who started posting videos online of what they realized was happening is that everywhere you take Atlas, it sucks up all the data possible from the websites that you visit. So be careful. Don't be. I know they say don't enter your bank information or your medical information or anything like that,
Right.
but it's a that's a roundabout way for me to answer your question is to say that this I guess practice and competency that we've started to build with first party data management very securely and AI that you can build and train yourself and have it, in the four walls of your business. I think it's very well timed. I mean, I do believe that open source, open weight models, and even off-grid data centers, not the public cloud companies, but this whole new, I would say, group or gaggle, I'll say, of companies that, pardon me, that are really coming to market now with alternatives to the public cloud, with hybrid or private cloud, and sometimes independent from the grid. That's where we're going to have to be just in order to have the power, to have the GPU power, but also the kilowatt hour, the electricity to power AI. And I think more and more businesses are going to understand for uptime and continuity, that's the way to go.
Yeah, that's amazing. I like that you brought up both sides of AI as well, not just the good and how it's helping out businesses, but as well as how it can be affecting some other people, maybe not even businesses, but just regular people that might be open to people stealing their data and information, all that sort of stuff. Yeah, that's something I haven't thought too much on. That's a good point there. And so you said you're helping these businesses integrate with AI and building out frameworks and infrastructures. What does that look like for your clients, and what kind of success are they seeing from that after implementing these tools and technologies?
Well, number one, they're able to understand who their customers are in a way they never had before, because they're correlating data from multiple systems across the company. And lots of people talk about golden records. They talk about, individual records for each and every customer being in one place, unified, rather than spread out across 50 different systems.
Yeah,
When you really think about it, there's this incredible opportunity right there for a business to start to understand segments of audience and correlated relationships between people that they probably didn't know before. Um, One of the things we like to do is just ask people point blank, do you know who your top 20 or 30 highest value customers are? Depends on what business they're in, but sometimes they'll get about half that right. They'll say, "Yeah, we know the Johnsons and the Smiths, and we know this and that." Say, "Okay, well, give us a month," and then we come back to them and we say, "Look what we found. We found 20 people that actually spend more and subscribe more and click more and like more and comment more or more engaged with you than either the Johnsons or the Smiths, right?" So there's that kind of thing. What does that do is it's going to help them greatly control their media budget instead of sending five pieces of direct mail to the same house or worse, a display ad 20 times in front of the same person, especially after they bought something from you already.
right.
Um, just the control of your media, the control of your marketing operation will help you reduce your cost of doing business, and it's going to grow revenue as well because at that touch point of the customer experience, what are you doing? You're meeting people with relevancy and meaningful, personalized content. So that happens. The second part of that is what we've already talked about is if your data can do that with demand side platforms and ad networks, make your email sing, then why not use it in the same capacity for AI? And for companies like Telium, one of the customer data platforms that we're very closely working with right now, they've been tagging web sites and mobile apps and other software as a service for a long time to organize any signals that are coming from those touch points to build those golden records. Well, and the tagging part of what Telium does actually is something that AI loves. Not only to have data organized, but also to have it tagged, because then AI can understand the correlational or causational relationship between media signals and customer behavior signals, um, clicks and open rates and other things that exist in the metadata, right? All are things that AI can understand. The CDP can understand as well, but AI can start to understand them if you want to move in that direction with automation or improved workflows. So it really is about growing your revenue while you reduce your expenses, which equals greater profits. And
Yeah,
there's not a client one that we're working with right now who cannot say for a specific audience segment or from a writ large business standpoint that that's not happening within 6 months after engaging us.
Right. And that's something you can't say no to, right? You can't say, no, I don't want to reduce my operational costs and no, I don't want to increase my revenue. That's just, you'd be ridiculous if you said no to using AI to help you do that and all your other data platforms as well.
Well, and we're just talking about machine learning here too, primarily,
Right.
right? I mean, this is probably 50% of business out there right now has not realized the magic that Python can do for them in organizing their data and making sense of the signals that swim across their system. So it's a big opportunity to go from 0 to 80, 90 miles an hour for some companies just to go engage with machine learning systems, with large big data platforms. The thing about it though is just what comes after that in terms of preparing you to do things with AI. So it is a fantastic opportunity, and to be able to plot for people a roadmap for them this future where month over month they're going to be able to reduce their cost of doing business and while they're also growing the business. um, it just changes the dynamics in how they plan. It changes the dynamics in how they make decisions.
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing. Definitely something that's, I always say in my podcast, maybe 80% of them, you can't have artificial intelligence without human intelligence. And putting those two and two together, it creates this machine of business. And it just, and even in your day-to-day life, it's amazing, an amazing tool. Well, for Brain Trust, what's kind of working well for you guys? What's your one thing that you would say that's, this is what we do, this is what we do best, and this is why we're doing well in business?
Well, I mean, the one thing we do, I think, as well as anyone does, is before we talk about technology, before we prescribe it for sure, or architect it, it's it has to start with diligence and discovery. It has to start with really understanding customer behavior, employee
Yeah.
behavior, aspirational use cases, or use cases with, you want to stop doing something as much as you do. You want to do something more because it works well. You want to stop doing something altogether because it was never productive. How can we help them really map out what their probably first 6 months, probably 2 quarters of use cases are going to be with either a CDP and or AI? Then we've got an opportunity to set them on a track where they can plan against it and they can be deliberate about adoption, right? And I think that's the big thing you see right now from MIT and from several other different research papers that are floating around LinkedIn these days, where 90+% of all AI efforts fail in enterprises. It's because I think they just try to bolt it on. They just try to
Hmm.
come in and say, hey, it's really easy to get a Chat GPT account, and it's really easy to get someone's prompting and prompt engineering playbook and to go to town and start using it. However, it's not a one size fits all thing, and no two businesses have the same data, the same customers, the same marketplace, or the same culture or tacit being about the business. So
Right.
when you think about that, you don't need a technology that does something for everybody. You need things that are bespokely fit to you. So we do that, I think, as well as anybody, just to be very certain and very deliberate how we're going to measure success. What are we going to affect in terms of process, workflows, those kinds of things, and then ultimately, um, what do we want to do after that? And when will we pause while we're executing those use cases? When will we pause and give a thought to the next 90 days? That's what this is about. Digital transformation is not a turnkey project. The AI that we're using right now today is probably the stupid and most redundant and arcane thing that we can use right now. It's only going to get better and change over
Yep.
time. So you have to get that mindset within the company about continuous optimization, continuous change, and understanding that what we do today, we're going to do totally different, probably 6 months or a year from now.
Yeah. Yeah. It's something with AI as well. It's just changing so fast every day. Eat the more and more day after day. It's kind of cool to see, also scary to see where we're going to be in the next 2 years. Maybe it'll be AI will be creating its own agents and it'll be making new models for itself.
It
And
already is. It
right,
already is, Ethan. Come
right,
on. Yeah, yeah. But no, you're right. It's um, for business today, for them to look at what they have in terms of current customers, current revenue, current markets. They've got 30-year, 100-year leases on buildings, infrastructure. They can't just pick up and leave. They can't just, they have
Hmm.
certain things that have to be somewhatly linear planned. They've got to be able to look at things and say, hey, based on what we did in the past, maybe not 5 years ago, but 5 months ago, this is what we've got to do for the next 6 months. This is what we've got to do for the next 2 years.
Right.
And that's where we are right now, I think, is folks are starting to understand that to the point you made, it's moving super fast. I mean, we're on the you and I are talking right now on October 27th. What happened last week? AWS went down.
Right.
I mean, a big chunk of it went down and disrupted a lot of business. It changed a lot of things, um, and challenged business in a big way. You had in the same week, you had AI browsers being launched by Microsoft and OpenAI. You had Google reminding everybody if you use Chrome, you can have Gemini right there with you. Um, it just seems that there is this proverbial day-to-day pissing match between these companies to see who can get out in front and who can get most people to use their wares. For one, for them to
Hmm.
test them, improve them, but two, for them to grab the attention, right? And which is all they're trying to do. They're trying to emulate what Meta and Google did for the last 17 years, which was have the majority of the audience's attention, the majority of their waking hours. That's what the AI companies are trying to do when it comes to monetizing what they do. If you ask me, that's where OpenAI is missing the boat because they have every opportunity to go cure cancer. They have every
Hmm.
opportunity to go make big, substantial differences in the lives of humans. They really do. Yet they're trying to compete with Microsoft. They're trying to compete with Google, and I don't think that that's what it's all about. I mean, I think it's got to be where people can probably cooperate a little better in their swim lanes rather than trying to kill each other, trying to be all things to all people.
Right. Yeah, like you said, people need to work together and trying to make the most out of it rather than just trying to be the best for themselves, rather than to prioritize their own growth and progress, to prioritize as a whole with such huge and revolutionary technology that AI is something that we haven't seen in a long time. That's brand new to all of us. That yeah, it would be so useful if they all just work together and for the rest of the world. I like that you mentioned earlier that your discovery process is something that you guys focus on and claim as one of your best traits. I think it's definitely important for a lot of businesses. Like you said, they try and fit that square peg into the circle hole and just say, here, buy this. This will work for you because it worked for me. Well, no, you need to go into that business and say, what's working well for you, what's not working well for you, how can we help you? And like you said, you have your team of engineers. I'm sure that's not the hardest thing for you to go in and say, look, you're doing this wrong, you're doing this wrong, you're losing money here. This could be more efficient. You can go in and say, okay, we'll build you this custom tool that will help your business. And I think that's something that not a lot of people are doing that they should be doing more of. And I like that you mentioned that. Well, where are you guys looking to be in the future here, the next 6 to 12 months, as AI is progressing, as your business is growing? What are your guys' goals?
Well, I mean, I think we at BrainTrust, we're on a growth trajectory right now. We will probably do 2.5 times revenue next year that we did this year,
Well,
and probably 3 times that the following year. So we're looking at, hundreds of percentage points in growth over the next 3 years. It's going to come in two ways. It's going to come in the volume of the general systems integration and deployment services that we provide some of our software partners and the clients who are licensing those software partners. That is seeming to climb right now because companies are trying to get ready. And the fast follow for that are the custom AI projects that come along with that. That's going to be the service business that continues to grow. The other thing that's going to grow in 2026 is we have a couple of different clients in two different verticals that have come to us because they could not find a software as a service or an AI tool out there to do what they wanted to do. And as we're talking to them, sometimes they volunteer it unsolicited to us. Other times we talk about the possibility and they agree to do it. but this is where they want to build it once, improve it for their own business, and then they want to take it out and they want to license it to other businesses within the same industry. Um,
Right.
I think we're going to see a revolution here, right? We're going to see an explosion of niche vertical tools that are born in companies that are already in the vertical that are going to go out and take a big piece of the market for, you know, something that happens within a business unit or a specific workflow or operation. I think we're going to see more of that. The way that plays out for us is in those two cases, one wants us to be a joint venture, the other one wants us to be the support team over the next 3 to 4 years as they roll that
Right.
out and take it to market. So we get into monthly recurring revenue and annual recurring revenue now that maybe we didn't have before with our straight deployment and integration services. So those are the two means at which, we'll diversify who our partners are across the board, but those being the two categorical areas that we see growing over the next 2 years to put up the numbers that I offered.
That's awesome. Yeah. Would you be able to give an example of what that would look like for, you don't have to name drop your clients, but what kind of tools and integrations they're looking to install?
Sure. I mean, uh, we'll use automotive as an example. We have an automotive dealer group right now that has several stores who specifically has a few software as a service systems that they use in the service lane. In the when people bring their car in for service or repair, what we call the service lane. Um, we have this client who's working with us on the aforementioned unifying of data, cleaning up of data, enriching that data, and then going about and building AI efficiencies around the business per use cases that are predefined. As as we're doing that, um, what we're actually going to do is put them in a position to where they're not going to use that software as a service anymore. We'll replace three tools with one tool, a unified dashboard with AI or AI agents behind it that power it, and still have an interface because humans still need to have interfaces
Hmm.
that allow them to run the business as they're comfortable doing and as they've proven they can do it. But then having that be malleable and something we can conform and configure to changing ways, new use cases over time. Um, in that situation, they're having a vision of, hey, we know that this is a headache for lots of other people, lots of other dealers, and they're saying, you know what we ought to do is let's build it here. We'll pay you guys to build it, and then we'll do revenue share with you as we start a third company and they go out and they take it to market. Let's hire the right people to go sell it.
Yeah.
Usually, in that case, the dealer principal says, I've got 30 friends that I can call and get them to try it and trial it, but we need you guys by our side to support it. So that's an example, right? I mean,
Yeah.
and that's a micro view of what I think is going to happen industry wide. It doesn't matter the vertical. It's not just the laggard industries, it's all industry. We're going to see a consolidation. We're going to see some companies that just cease to exist and cease to operate. Um, we're going to see many of the AI startups, I think, are going to die just because they're going to run out of cash because of the cost of compute.
Hmm.
As they grow, compute becomes more expensive, and you can't do the same thing for everybody at $10 a month or $30 a month. It's always the case, and maybe the market won't bear $50 a month. So what happens in that situation? You're back to a square where you have to downsize, and ultimately, if you downsize, you're back with a challenge to scale. If you do shapeshift and if you do something different. So these are really interesting times. The things that we're most excited about, folks that have great valuation or just closed a big funding round, I think we're going to see a great number of them as salvage in the future. I think good things will come from what they do. I think they might get acquired, and there still be some value in that transaction. But I think we'll see some consolidation as more and more companies that are able to prove things that are repeatable and scalable start to gobble up those that aren't.
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing. It's a great opportunity for you guys as well and your clients. Something that I think it'd be very valuable for definitely those more niche industries and verticals, like you said, that'll be able to white label that service and sell it to their competitors even or even the people that they do business with. I think that's awesome that you guys are helping them do that. And yeah, I definitely see that's where AI is going. Definitely these smaller businesses that and AI startups won't be able to afford to compete with the big guys that have these huge tech teams and have all these engineers that are building out these custom infrastructures. They're like you said, yeah, there was $10 a month services aren't going to be doing so well when you've got these big guys running them out.
You bet.
That's amazing. We've covered almost everything I wanted to cover today. Again, it's been amazing speaking with you. I've learned a lot myself. I hope the audience learned some as well. But I like to leave all my guests with the opportunity to share something they've learned along their journeys as entrepreneurs and business owners. So, what would you say is the biggest lesson you've learned along your journey as a founder, CEO, entrepreneur, and a consultant that's helped you become who you are today?
Well, I mean, this is a very analog dose of guidance I'll give, but it's what I tell when I guest lecture at universities, because everybody wants to ask is how do we prepare or what do we got to do to get hired, is what they say.
Right.
You've got to be able to be a deep and critical thinker and problem solver in life, period, full stop. AI is not going to have every answer for you, and better, it doesn't have the arms and legs. And even when it does with robots, not all the robots everywhere are going to be able to do everything. So you as a human need to exercise your faculties, right? Which means rotating your fiction with nonfiction. You got to read books. You have to read books. You need to go for walks around town or between destinations. You may live in a place where it's really hot or it's really cold, and you can't do that all the time. But force yourself to go for a walk around the block. Do not put your iPod, your iPhone, your um, your AirPods in. Don't do that when you walk. Listen to the birds chirp, feel the wind blow through your hair, and hear the cars go by. Listen to the music somebody's playing in their house. The more diversity you have in your life, the richer your ability to think critically and make decisions becomes. And this is not just about education, but it's about how you continuously educate yourself on what's happening around you in the world. And I just love to tell people that it's not hard to train. You don't need a mobile app to train your brain. You don't need AI to answer all your questions. What you need to do is go out and challenge yourself. Put some rotation and diversity into what you eat, what you drink, where you dine, where you go see a movie, which sports teams you go watch perform, where you travel. I mean, the more foreign it is, the more uncomfortable it is. Don't do anything dangerous. Don't go anywhere the State Department says you shouldn't. Um, but certainly, the more you immerse yourself in foreign cultures and uncomfortable situations, the more you're going to have to think your way through how to navigate it. And that's absolutely critical right now, I think, for everybody. And it doesn't always require flying to some faraway island. This may just be driving across town and visiting a restaurant or having a drink or going to a coffee shop that you've never been to before. Coffee shops are fantastic, just like bars are. You sit there long enough, you're going to see two or three rounds of different people come through, and you're going to hear different things. You're going to see different things. And the more you do that as a human, the more you're going to learn, the more you're going to soak it up, and it'll give you perspective for something, maybe an hour from then, or 2 days from then, or 3 months from now. It'll give you some perspective that you didn't have before. And that's the jam right now, is most people they believe what they think, right? And social media has got them dialed to think something that feels good when they see it or when they post about it and everybody likes it, right? The same thing is trying to break yourself out of that rut in real life. How do you mix things up in terms of diversity and really go out and see the world with fresh eyes, fresh perspectives as much as you can?
That's amazing. Yeah, I'm so glad you shared that actually, because I think it's something that my generation especially struggles with is just from a non-business sense. struggles to get outside, struggles to go experience things, or when they go on those walks, like you said, they've got their AirPods and they're listening to music, they're listening to
Some
everything
podcast.
that's
Yeah.
right, exactly. They're listening to a podcast and they're not taking in what's around them. Like I had the opportunity to go visit New York City this summer, had never been before. And I went, I decided I don't want to have my AirPods in, I don't want to be listening to music. I'm just gonna walk around and see this new place I've never been before. And it was an amazing experience because it's so different from being over here in Fort Myers, or even my hometown is a small farm town in Florida here. It's
Yeah.
just something incredible to experience, and like you said, diversity as well. And yeah, I think that's an amazing advice for someone, not even as an entrepreneur or someone in the workforce, but just as a human being. People need to
Just
experience
as a
life.
human and a neighbor, man. I mean, just as I
Yeah,
mean, you come back from New York, um, and I say that to everybody. Like, if you go to Europe, if you ever go to Europe, same thing happens. If your first time in Europe, or every time you go to Europe, go somewhere different. You may have a place or two that you like to go to, but don't spend all your time there. Go explore, discover new places. But here in the United States, it's towns like San Francisco, New Orleans, Chicago, New York.
yeah,
Just walk around, ask the people at the hotel. You can even ask AI if you wanted to and say, where can I go and see something different? What are the most popular cuisines here and where can I find one of them, right? Um, you're going to find that you're going to go to different villages. New York is probably one of the best examples just in my life. And you just said it, but we took our son who was 13 at the time, and we took him last Thanksgiving. We had a cousin who was in the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. He had never been to New York. He'd seen a whole lot of it on television and in movies, which was cool because he did recognize a lot of things while we were there. But he got to walk down the street and hear 60 different languages every day. He got to
right,
see different things. He got to just live in a very different element than he does here in quasi suburban or urban Austin, Texas. So,
right.
it's you can just tell when people have that different perspective, they listen better. They listen
Hmm.
better, they think longer, and they have better prompts themselves. They have better ways of responding if they do that, if they go and experience something that's just way different than what your everyday is.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And it opens you to be more of an open-minded person as well, and you're more well-rounded and like you said, understanding. You have a better understanding of the world that's around you rather than your narrow perspective from just where you live and what you think and what you see on social media. You need to go experience it yourself. And yeah, I love it. Well, listen, Tim, it's been amazing having you on. I think you've provided some of the most wisdom and expertise in this podcast so far, and I really appreciate your time today.
Thanks, Ethan. I appreciate you having me, and I'm wishing you great luck and go out there and discover the world. Go explore, brother.
Thank you. I will.